guys, so it's me, Kiani. Today's video, I'm back with another makeup tutorial. Today's video, I'll be sharing with you the new technique that I've been using to reshape my eyebrows. I'll be giving you tips and techniques that have kind of helped me readjust my brow. I actually start the video showing you what my brows look like untamed and unmanicured, and you know what? And then by the end of this video, honey, we would have pulled this look all the way together. So I'm hoping you guys are going to enjoy this video, and I know somebody, if not all of you, are going to ask what color lipstick this is wearing. You guys already know I'm wearing none other than my brand Lip Tricks in the shade Lashes Needed. Make sure you head over to www.liptricks.com, pick up your Lashes Needed Liquid Matte at a 30% discount. Head over now. The sale goes from now all the way until April 30th, 2020. And without further ado, if you want to see how I pull this look all the way together, showing my new eyebrow routine, just keep on watching. Alright guys, let's get started. So you'll see that I have this makeup look done, but it doesn't look complete because my eyebrows aren't complete. And of course, this video is on eyebrows, so we're going to get into completing this look. What I've noticed over the past couple of weeks is my eyes are not as symmetric. Now, I know this hasn't happened in just over the past couple of weeks. I know this has happened over a little bit of time, but we're in quarantine, so I now have time to address things that I never would have taken time to address in the past. So I can even tell by my wing. Typically, I can do this exact same technique and my wings would be perfectly symmetric, but I'm going to show you the trick that I've been using on my eyebrows to make everything look more in focus, okay? So for this technique, I'm going to start on the eyebrow that gives me the most difficulty. That is step number one. And can you not say that usually if you're doing your eyebrows, you go to the eyebrow that you can complete the fastest? I'm a right-hander, so that would mean I would typically work on my right eyebrow first, and I would get it to what I would consider as close to perfection as possible, and then I would go over to my left eyebrow, which is my problem eyebrow, and I would try to make it as perfect. Totally, I'm going to do the complete opposite today. I'm going to start working with my left eyebrow first because it is my problem child. If you're not ambidextrous, then this is a good technique for you. Also, if you have astigmatism, which means you're visually somewhat impaired in either your right or your left eye, you will find that you will typically lean toward, again, the eyebrow that is easier for you to complete faster, if I'm making sense. So try the opposite. Try working on the eyebrow that is the hardest for you to complete, and that would be, for me, my left eyebrow. Second, I'm going to change some of my tools, and my tools for today are going to be my Mora brow pencils, and that's upside down. They're going to be my Mora brow pencils. I have two different shades here. One that is shade chocolate, which is a nice, I'm going to say warm tone brown. Has a little bit of red in it, which works great when I have so much ginger in my hair. And then I'm going to also work with this auburn shade, which is still another shade of brown, but you'll see definitely a little bit lighter than the brown. Third, use a magnifying mirror. And you see I'm going to light it up, light it up, light it up. Using a mirror that is magnifying and also has a light definitely gives you a little bit more completeness and strategy, if you will, when you're completing a task such as eyebrows. So let's go ahead and get to it. Seriously, working in reverse today. So I'm going to put this mirror here, light it up, and you guys should still be able to see what I'm going to do. So I'm going to slightly lift this brow, and I'm going to start moving back and forth, kind of completing in the gaps with the lighter shade pencil. And again, normally I would start with the darker pencil just to go ahead and get it over with, but you can see how, let me turn it down so you can see. You can see how if I raise the brow, I can give myself an artificial shape, but when I release it, the brow tends to shift more down. So just by me holding it here at the right above the arch, I can get I can really almost identify how my brow is going to settle, and then when I angle sharp on this tail here, which is basically not there, I can just move backwards and forwards to kind of mimic the shape that it's going to settle to. So I'm going to lift here only to create the underneath arch, okay? The underneath arch is really creating the fullness. It gives you more anchor to the brow itself. It's almost creating that foundation. And the brow really at this point is suspended. And I do have a lot of people that just like to work on the tail, because if your brows are already fuller here, you won't really notice that the brow is starting to droop or that that lid is starting to settle some. You don't normally notice it in the front. You really only notice it in the tail. So there again, don't work in the front first, work at the tail first. All right, and then I'm just going to start to curve this around on top, and I'm leaving that front. So you'll see that I do have a really natural looking brow, but on this side I can tell that I would probably dance right here on the tail. I would dance right in the middle, because those hairs are growing in a little bit more structured. But again, I'm not complete with the left brow. Complete that brow first. I don't move back and forth when I'm working with brows. I typically complete one. And I've changed pencils. I'm going into the chocolate brown, and I'm going to really go back in and define that underneath tail and kind of create a little bit more of an ombre effect. Come on the roof. This is what I call the roof of the brow. And I'm going to dance right over top. Can you see that once I kind of stamp that tail, now I can really create my rhythm and fullness. Now we have a shape, ladies and gentlemen. We have a shape. Now my brow is actually lining up with my wing, and it typically is a little bit further down than I want, so I'm just going to kind of smooth it out and just close that sharp point up a little bit closer to the tail. Boom. Now I can leave this alone. I'm seeing that we're in a good place right now, but I want to add a little bit more of this auburn, just to give us a little bit more fullness here. And I do like my brows to dance into the bridge of the contour of my nose. If you're not familiar, this is the bridge here. And I like to kind of fill mine in a little bit closer to that. Okay, I'm not scribbling back and forth. I don't want to have like a sharp point. I'm just dancing back and forth. And there we go. Now, what I will do is grab a little bit of my contour, putting it on a brush, and let's just see. I can give you a little bit of balance. Can you see what just happened? Kiani, girl. Yes, you should turn your camera on every day that you're doing your brows, and just dance it down the nose. Okay. Now we have balance. Can you see what happened? If I would have left my brows here where they normally want to grow in, then what happens is, with my face being so round, it makes my eyes look further apart. So by me bringing them in symmetric with the middle of my face, it gives me more balance to my roundness of my face. And these curls, they're doing their own thing today, and we're gonna let them. All right, now here's the trick. Remember the brow that I said was the behaving brow? Now to make it look like the non-behaving brow, this should be pretty easy, right? Use the same steps. Move back and forth. Really concentrating on that tail area. This brow, because it's already lifted, it hasn't moved too much. I'm not going to lift it anymore, because then I'm going to bring this brow again back out of balance. So allow it just to remain relaxed and drag that line, drag the tail down. Doing tiny brush strokes. And this is the part that I'm anxious to get to, is filling in this tail here. Now, the natural part of me, the tail, is very harsh, but because I opened this tail up to bring more balance, I'm going to have to do the same thing on the opposite side. This is, of course, like algebra. What you do on one side, you do on the other. Can you see how that tail is really, really narrow? This is really full. This is really narrow. I like a really, really narrow tail, but trust the process. Trust the process. Open the space up, okay? So that means that you have to go back underneath to the foundation to expand it a little bit more, because if you start moving too far on top, then you're going to open it more upward. You want to create the same amount of spacing on the lid as you do on the upward part of the brow, okay? So working at the bottom, because remember, you're going to add concealer down here too. By adding concealer, if you need to clean up, it's much easier to do it underneath on the lid than it is on top, so you don't end up with that halo looking brow. Can you see how now I'm getting the same type of symmetric balance? Okay, and I can just drag this out a little bit more, and I'm just rounding it up more so like a C instead of like a straight line. A straight line is going to give you straightness and sharpness, but working in a little bit more of a C motion, you create a little bit more of a softer aesthetic. So notice the pencil is going curving it like a C. Okay, open the space up. I'm having to go into the temple a little bit. Oh yes. Using the auburn pencil, it gives you a little bit more leeway to clean up, so I'm not going in as harsh with a darker color. It's just too hard to erase that. But going in with the auburn, it's almost like I'm creating a soft template of the brow. So I'm really stopping going in so harshly. I just want to make it nice and seamless, okay? And remember, I'm trying to get comfortable with this technique as well. I'm going to dance back and forth. I've already switched over to the medium pencil. How we doing? You guys are practicing this with me. How are you doing? And you see how this brow is looking a little bit darker. Don't worry about it. I can't see it as much in my mirror because it's too far away, and I want you guys to be able to see it too. But I can always go back in and make this one a little bit darker. Now that looks balanced, right? This is still a little bit further down, right? Pull down. There we go. Now, I can still see that this is a little, it is the teeniest, tiniest amount too far down. This one needs to be drugged down too. Great. There we go. Still a little bit off. Don't panic. Go ahead and fill in that front. Back to your lighter pencil. Tiny brush strokes. Just doing little sketching marks here just to bring that brow back symmetric with the face. Then we're going to go in with our little bit of concealer or contour product and create that bridge. I'm just using a MAC synthetic brush. You can also do this with your fingers, especially if you're in quarantine, because you don't have nails on at this point. So I'll show you how that works. I'm not being obscene. I'm just moving back and forth just to settle that down. Yes, okay. So it's going to be a little bit more precise, obviously, with the brush. But if all you have are your fingers, it will do definitely a similar technique. Look at that. Okay, whoa, okay. So now, we have pretty good symmetry. Not on the wing yet. We have good symmetry on the brow. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of concealer, okay? And honestly, one of my favorite ones is the It's You Concealer. This is something that I picked up at my local drugstore. I'm almost out. The shade that I use is Honey Beige. It is honestly like dead on for this technique, and it's because this applicator is so good. It's so flat. So even if you're not using this type of concealer, you might want to just pull some out on your arm. Okay, pull some out, get your concealer brush, and I'm going to turn to the side here and just get that concealer as close to that underneath area as possible. Super thin amount, super duper thin amount. So just kind of picking me up another synthetic brush, and I'm going to blend that. Blend it down so it's not so over the top, but this does create that beautiful highlighted eyebrow saying, honey, quarantine did me just fine. And see how I just kind of drag that right into that contour. Notice I didn't do anything on the upward. The only halo that I have right now is going to be underneath, which is totally acceptable. And if I needed to go back in to my eyeshadow and pull that back up, just been neaten it back up, it's going to create a beautiful transition. So it looks like you spent all kinds of time, honey, on the eyeshadow, and you did not. Okay? Yes, I'm liking that. I'm liking that. I'm liking that for me. All right, let's go to this side. Dancing underneath. So any of those hairs that need to be concealed, because your brows need to be threaded, tweezed, razored, whatever maintenance you use. We're in quarantine, so concealer is your best friend. Okay. Shear out that concealer, drag it down. Not really dragging, I'm actually just patting around it because I don't want to remove too much of it, because again, those hairs that need to be dealt with. Right now we're just concealing them, i.e. concealer. Can you see what happened with that brow? And to be honest, I did erase a little bit too much. So let's just go back. Now I have a panic. Fill them in. Create your C more intently. Ooh, she just rhymed. Create your C more intently. Okay, because we know that shape is coming along. Okay, and go back in with your lighter pencil if necessary. And just neaten that back up as much as possible. Whatever you removed with the concealer that needed to be put back, girl, put it back. Girl, put it back. And just kind of go back. Reaffirm your commitment to getting that brow to look as close to symmetric as possible. Now, I am just going to, there's really nothing on this brush, it's just a little bit of residue. I'm going to dance right over top. Okay, just to make sure that everybody's behaving. Yes, 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 we have brows. Okay, what do we think? So, techniques, tips and techniques. 2 different brow pencils. You're going to be able to create more of a shadowed structure when you're initiating creating the brow. So for me, I use a shade called Auburn, and then the deepest shade I use is Chocolate. The roots of my hair come in really, really dark, so I didn't want to go that dark because I don't want it to look like a super harsh brow. We're just really creating something nice and airy, but at the same time it's looking really, really professional. So 2 different brow pencils. You're also going to need a flesh tone concealer. Notice I didn't use one that was really, really too light, and I didn't use one that was too dark. You want something super close to your complexion because really it's going to create more of a seamlessness to the brow, and it's not going to draw attention to you correcting or concealing. Okay, so you definitely want to have that. Also, I use 3 different brushes. I use a concealing brush, tightline the concealer once it's applied. I use 2 synthetic blending brushes, one for my contour, one for the concealer, flesh tone concealer. And yeah, so not a whole lot of tools. It's more so strategy and technique. And there you have it. I'm going to actually clean up this liner off camera. Don't worry, don't panic. That's a video for an entire other day, but you can really see more balance in my brow right now. So there you have my newest technique on how I have been reshaping my eyebrow. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you give me 2 thumbs up.